Welcome back to Applied Physics Lecture Series, Unit 4 Lasers, Lecture 4 Types of Lasers, Ruby Laser. So first of all, you have to consider the classification of lasers. Based on the state of active material, lasers are divided into three categories. First one is solid state laser, second one is gas laser, and third one is semiconductor laser. So based on the state of active material. So state means whether the active material is in the form of a solid state laser. Active material is in the form of gaseous laser. Active material is doped with impurities, then it will be a semiconducting laser. What is meant by active material? The material which undergoes stimulated emission, as a result it will produce as laser, will be called as active material. Simply, active material is the material which is completely responsible for the production of laser through the process of stimulated emission. And then how to identify this active material? Usually, the active material concentration is present in very less. In majority of the cases, it is even less than 1%. Therefore, very easily, the material which is present in least concentration can be considered as active material. Then, based on such a state of active material, we are having three types of lasers. One is solid state laser. Here the example is ruby laser. Second one is gaseous laser. Example is helium neon laser. Third one is semiconductor laser. Examples are gallium arsenide semiconducting laser or gallium aluminum arsenide semiconducting laser. Now we will see the types of lasers one by one in detail. Out of the three types of lasers, the first one is a solid state laser. Example is ruby laser. Here the active material is in the form of solid. So that's why it is called as solid state laser. And a very important thing you have to remember is, this is the first successful laser which was operated in the year 1960 by the scientist Maimon, exactly by implementing Einstein's theory of radiation. So this is the first laser, so which is nothing but ruby laser, that was operated in the year 1960. So this is the experimental setup of ruby laser. Here ruby is nothing but crystalline aluminum trioxide, so in which 0.05% of chromium is added. So usually the color of ruby is red in color, so that's why ruby rod is red in color. So ruby is nothing but a crystalline. Crystalline means it is a crystalline solid, crystalline aluminum trioxide Al2O3, in which 0.05% of chromium ions are added. So here 0.05% of chromium ions. So chromium ions are present in least concentration. That's why chromium ions are acting as active material. So this is the solid state laser. So ruby is the aluminum trioxide crystal containing 0.05% of chromium ions. The triply ionized chromium ions, Cr+3 ions, are active material, whereas aluminum and oxygen are inert. And ruby rod is taken in the form of cylindrical shape, whose length is 4 centimeters and diameter is 1 centimeter. Both the ends of the ruby rod are polished and parallel to each other. This is the experimental setup of ruby laser. Observe here inside there is a rod, cylindrical shape rod, that is nothing but ruby crystal. And that ruby rod, which is taken in the form of crystal, is placed inside the discharge tube. So discharge tube is usually made up of quartz material. And the ruby rod is completely surrounded with helical flash lamp, a spring-shaped helical flash lamp. So, and both the ends of the flash lamp are connected to a power supply. So, therefore, it will produce as a flash in the form of light in the form of flash. Therefore, active pumping will be there. And both the ends of the ruby rod are polished, but only one end is coated with silver. Along the silver coated end, you will get the laser light. The middle portion is ruby rod, which is placed in the quartz tube. So that is nothing but discharge tube, and it is completely surrounded with helical flash lamp. The two ends are connected to a power supply. Both the ends are polished. Only one end is coated with silver. Along the silver coated end, we will get laser light. And the left hand side portion, we are having a coolant. So once the temperature of the discharge tube is increased to the huge extent, then we will open such a coolant, and cool water or air is circulated into the discharge tube. And one end of the ruby rod is fully reflecting and other end is partially reflecting. Ruby rod acts as an optical resonator. Ruby rod is surrounded by a flash lamp, helical shaped flash lamp, which is filled with xenon gas and which is used for the purpose of pumping. Here the kind of pumping employed is known as optical pumping. So how do you operate this one? So when xenon flash lamp is switched off, chromium ions are ejected to the higher energy level. As a result, population inversion is reached. once the population inversion is ready, then we will operate the process of stimulated emission. So the entire process, that means right from the process of pumping, population inversion, next one is stimulated emission, followed by amplification, and at the end, coherent photons, which are known as laser light. So all these 5 processes are represented very well in a specific energy level diagram. That's why the role of energy level diagram is very, very important. And this is the energy level diagram. Observe here at the bottom, there is a ground state. So majority of the chromium ions are present at the ground state. And during the process of optical pumping, so at the bottom of the discharge tube, we are having the two ends of the flash lamp is connected to the power supply. So by giving the proper power supply, so the flash lamp will be producing light in the form of white light in the form of flash for every 1000 of a second. As a result, the chromium ions which are present in the ground state are absorbing optical energy. Thereby, those are excited to the higher energy levels. Those are represented with 2, 3. Those are the absorption bonds of energy in case of chromium ions. Some of the chromium ions are absorbing blue light. Thereby, they will reach to the second energy level. And some of them are absorbing green light. They will be reached to the first energy level. So then non-radiative transition takes place to the metastable state from the pumped bands. And from metastable state onwards, the actual stimulated emission takes place. During that process, laser light is coming out. On the right hand side portion, we can able to see very clearly E1 is the ground state and E2 is the metastable state, E3 is the higher energy level. So at the starting, the chromium ions are present at E1 energy level, and absorption by pumping light. Therefore, they are reached to the higher energy level E3. From E3 to E2, the process of transition takes place in the form of heat. From E2 onwards, that means from the metastable state to the ground state E1, laser is coming out. So this is considered as a laser light. See how it will takes place. When a xenon flash lamp is switched on, chromium ions are excited to the state E3 and E3 dash by the green and blue components of white light. So chromium ions undergo non-radiative transition from E3 to E3 dash, then to E2. E2 is the metastable state. So here, see, chromium ions accumulate. Population inversion of E2 with respect to E1 occurs. So the process starts when the photon is produced by the transition of chromium ions from E2 to E1. This is the spontaneous emission. But we require stimulated emission. That's why this spontaneous photon stimulates another excited ion. As a result, downward transition takes place. This process continues and many photons are released. So all those photons are coherent photons, and the process is referred as a stimulated emission. So therefore, red photons of wavelength 6943 angstrom units are given out. So the output is not continuous, but it is in the form of pulse. And very important thing here we have to remember is laser is a kind of visible light. So therefore, it is present in the visible region. Therefore, the visible region extends usually from 4000 angstrom units to 8500 angstrom units. Therefore, any light output we are getting during the process of stimulated emission must be present within that visible range, which is present from 4000 angstrom units to 8500 angstrom units. Here we are getting a wavelength of 6943 angstrom units, which is present in the visible range, and it is very near to the red light wavelength. Therefore, it will be considered as red colored laser light. And if we consider the main characteristics of this laser output, already I mentioned the wavelength is 6943 angstrom units and the color is red in color, and output power, if you consider this one, the output power given by the laser light is in the range of 50 kilowatts. And if you consider the angle of divergence, so deviation should be minimum. So it is solid state material. That's why angle of divergence is about half degree. Thanks for watching.